Hey everyone, welcome back. We are now on to the second lesson for our remote learning journey. So let's just jump right into it, all right? Today we're going to be talking about solving equations using substitution. Our objectives are to solve multi-step equations with one variable, solve a system of equations in two variables using substitution method, and determine if the system of linear equations will have a solution. We got some goals today, y'all. Today we're going to be completely eliminating one of the two variables in a linear system by replacing it with an equivalent expression. Remember what an expression is, right? No equal sign. All right. This goal is accomplished by solving for one variable for one equation and plugging it into another equation. So before we get started, we just need to go over a few things, all right? We need to know what a variable is. Remember, a variable is a letter used to represent an unknown. And substitution means to put in the place of another. Think about like when you have a substitute teacher. That substitute teacher is just covering for your teacher that you actually have. So here's an example of what a system of equations would look like to use substitution. If you notice, it says 4x minus 7 equal to 13 and x equal to 3. In this case, what would you do in it? That's right. Plug in the x for the first equation. So it will look something like 4 times 3 minus 7 equal to 13. And then in this case, we would check. This will be 12 minus 7 equal to 13. And 12 minus 7 is 5. And 5 equal to 13. Right? So you have the idea of how to solve using substitution already, but it won't be so easy. But just think about the process that we just used in this case. So let's go into the questions that we need to know how to do. So I've put some steps on the side here for you. So just if you need to follow along, just follow along. But before I continue, make sure you have your notebook and you are taking notes, okay? So our first system of equations says y is equal to 2x minus 5 and y is equal to 5x minus 11. The first step that we need to do is solve an equation for one variable. But if you notice, both of my equations already have a variable by itself, right? So our next step is to substitute. Does it matter which one we substitute in? Not necessarily. We just want to make sure that we substitute one into the other. So the first one says y is equal to 2x minus 5. I want to use what y is here and plug it into this y. So what does that look like? It's going to say 2x minus 5 equal to 5x minus 11. Now we have created one equation with one variable. In this case, it's x. Do we always have to solve for y? No, all right? Now we want to just solve for the equation. We should know all how to do this right here. So I'm going to bring all my x's to the left side. So in this case, I'm going to do a minus 5x on both sides. And this is going, whoopsie. This fool got some terrible handwriting here today. This is minus 5x here. Better, all right? 2x minus 5x is negative 3x. I'm going to bring everything else down. Minus 5 equal to, remember we have to carry down those signs that are in front of those numbers or terms, okay? Now I have all my variables on this side. Now I want to bring my negative 5 over to this side. So the inverse operation of negative 5 is to add 5. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. And I'm just going to write this answer over here, okay? So now we have a negative 3x equal to negative 6. From here now, we want to divide both sides because that operation with the x is multiplication. And we're dividing by that coefficient, which is -3. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So we now know x is equal to 2. All right? So now that we know that x is equal to 2, we want to plug back in to find the other variable. Does it matter which equation we use? No, we can use any one. So I'm just going to write it up at the top here. So now I have y equal 2 times x, but I now know what x is, which is 2, right? X is equal to 2 minus 5. 2 times 2 is 4 minus 5. And 4 minus 5 is -1. So we know that x is equal to 2, so we write as the order paired. 2 and y is equal to -1. Remember, when we write ordered pairs, it's always x, then y. All right? Our last thing to do here is to check our solution. So we just want to make sure that it works. So I'm just going to squeeze in over here. We're saying y is -1. Once again, it doesn't matter which equation you use. Let's use a different color. I'll just use black. We have -1 equal to 2 times 2, because 2 is x, minus 5. If we check it out, 2 times 2 is, I'm just going to draw a little space here. You'll see the steps again. Whoopsie. You'll see the space here. Now let's fill it with, I want to go with green. There we go. So we have -1 equal to 4 minus 5. -1 equal to -1. And yes, that checks out. So that is our solution. All right. Moving on to the next one. So what happens in this case? All right, same steps though. If you notice, the steps are going to be the same. We want to solve the equation for one variable. So if I wanted to solve one of these equations for one variable, which one would be easier to solve for a variable? In this case, it would be the second one, because if you guys notice, one of those letters are already by itself. Its coefficient is 1. So if I wanted to solve for this, I would have 2x plus y equal to 4. Which variable would be easier to get by itself at this point? The y. So we need to get rid of the 2x. How do we get rid of it? Same way we do everything else. Minus 2x in this case from both sides. So now it's going to be y equal, and I'm going to write it in mx plus b form. So it's going to say -2x. That's a +4, so we write +4. Now that we know that, we could use this information and plug it into this y right here. So let's get started. So we have 3x plus 5 times, now y is -2x plus 4, and we want to say it's equal to 13. So keep in mind, the only thing that I've done differently here is change the y to what we solved for down here. Now we just solve again like we normally do. So we have 3x minus 10x plus 20 equal to 13. Now, you might be asking, where did this come from? Remember, we have a term on the outside of this parenthesis, so we have to distribute it. So 5 times -2 is -10x, and then 5 times a +4 is +20. Okay? Now from here, We could combine like terms. What? We going back to basics right here? They're on the same side of the equation, so we could combine those two terms together. So 3x minus 10x is negative 7x plus 20 equal to 13. And then we could continue solving. So minus 20. So we have negative 7x equal to negative 7. To get x by itself, we divide both sides by the coefficient, which is negative 7. And we get x is equal to positive 1. Negative times a negative, negative divided by a negative gives us a positive. 7 divided by 7 is 1. Our next step, to plug back in to find the other variable. So once again, we could plug into any one of these, all right, to see what the y value in this case is going to be. So if I plug back in, I want to use the second one because y is kind of by itself already. So if you want to use the first one, you could still go ahead and use that one as well. If you just want to check it out to see if it works, by all means, go ahead, all right? So we have 2x plus 4, jumping the gun. Oh, no guns, sorry. Jumping ahead. Plus y equal to 4. Once again, we now know that x is equal to 1. So we have 2 times 1 plus y equal to 4. We want to solve for y, so we need to get it by itself. In this case, we're going to be subtracting 2 from both sides because it's on the same side as y. And y is equal to a positive 2. Now we need to check our solution. So I'm going to check it up here. I want to use the second one again because it just seems easier to calculate, right? So we have 2 times x, which is 1. Remember, x is equal to 1, plus y, which we now know is 2. And does it equal to 4? Let me get my box up again. Just a little space. Now we want to fill it like that green color. All right. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 2, does it equal 4? 2 plus 2 is 4, and 4 does equal 4. So once again, it checks out. All right. What? Here we go. One more. Maybe another one. Who knows? Maybe I have about 5 more. So in this question, we see that there's a bunch of stuff going on. But we want to get one of the variables by itself. Once again, it doesn't matter. As long as you see a variable with a coefficient of 1, you could pick any equation that you want to use to get the variable by itself. So I want to get x by itself in this case because I see x is a 1 here. X here also has a coefficient of 1. But if you want to solve for y, you could do it using this equation because y also has a coefficient of 1. But I just want to use a different letter in this case. So I want to solve for x. So if I do x plus y equal to 3. I want to get x by itself, so I have to minus y in this case. So we're left with x is equal to 3 minus y. So since I used the first equation and got x by itself, I have to plug what x is now into my second equation. So we have 3y plus x. I have to put in parentheses for now, okay? So 3 minus y equal to 5. My coefficient here is a 1, so now I could take it out the parentheses. So I have 3y plus 3 minus y equal to 5. I have like terms again here on the same side of the equation, which is 3y and a negative y. When I combine those, we get 2y plus 3 equal to 5. I want to solve for y, so I have to minus 3 first from both sides. So we have 2y equal to 2. I want to get this y alone, so I have to divide by 2. So y is equal to 1. Now that I know what y is, I could plug back into any equation to get the x value. So I want to use my second equation in this case, just so you all see that it could work with both, okay? So if I were to use 3y plus x equal to 5, I'm going to substitute in y for 1. So we have 3 times 1 plus x equal to 5. 3 times 1 is 3 plus x equal to 5. I want to get x by itself, so I need to get rid of this 3, so minus 3. And we get x is equal to 2. So now I know that x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 1. So we just want to check it back again. We can use any equation. I want to use the first one in this case because it's just a lot easier, right? So I'm going to do my check. So if I have x plus y equal to 3, I know that x is 2 and y is 1. Does it equal to 3? 2 plus 1 is 3, and 3 is equal to 3. Woo woo! So our ordered pair for this one is 2, 1. All good? All right. So I hope that you all were able to understand this. I would love to have your feedback if you feel like I need to go a little bit more in depth. But keep in mind a couple of things that you want to make sure that you're doing. Make sure that you have your notes written down. Make sure that you're doing the practice and you're uploading both your notes and your practice to Google Classroom so you can receive credit. All right? Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow for lesson 3. Peace out.